I broke up with my GF because she wanted to stay a virgin. Now, she 3 years of love, 6 months apart, and one revelation that changes everything. This is the story of young love where the past collides with the present, and one misstep could forever alter their connection. What would you do when faced with such conflicting emotions? Get ready to uncover the truth behind every moment. Before continuing the story, tell me which city you are watching from. I want to know how far this video has come. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so I can send you exciting stories like this every day. I, a 23-year-old male, met my ex-girlfriend, a 21-year-old female 3 years ago. We lived on campus at university in different halls of residence. After a few months, we got together and for the most part had a very happy relationship. There was always one issue though. My ex grew up a very religious home. Her father is a pastor. She has been open with her family that she does not share their faith. They weren't happy about it, but accepted that she has to make her own choices on that. Nevertheless, I think some of that religious upbringing was still in her mind. I grew up in a different religion, but was never very serious about it and am no longer religious. Our relationship was pretty normal, except that she told me very early that she was a virgin and wanted to stay that way until she was married. It wasn't for religious reasons. As I mentioned, she isn't religious, but she was very focused on not disappointing her dad. We did other sexual things, just not intercourse. I never had much luck with girls growing up, and going into the relationship I was a virgin, and I still am, at least if you classify being a virgin as never having had intercourse. Anyway, I was becoming more resentful of the fact that everyone I know was having normal sexual relationships, and we weren't. I couldn't understand why she didn't want to have a full sexual relationship, though of course I never pressured her about it. I felt that while I was at university and pretty broke, getting married was something for the future. Last year, I was in my last year of university, and she was working in her first professional job. Her degree was shorter than mine, so she finished university first despite being younger than me. She was talking a lot about all these successful guys she met at work, which did make me feel lesser as I was still a broke university student. Coupled with her still not wanting a full sexual relationship, it did make me feel more resentful. We had some arguments about it, and after a while I felt that I should end the relationship as we wanted different things and our lives were on different paths. It was awful. She was crying a lot and I felt terrible afterwards. Anyway, it has been nearly 6 months since we broke up. We haven't been in touch at all for most of that time. I have not been involved with anyone else in that time, as I was 100% focused on finishing my degree. I have finally finished university and am about to start my first professional job. She recently got in touch again and asked to meet up. I was hesitant, but decided we had so much good history that I should hear her out. She told me she's been missing me terribly these past 6 months, that she thinks she wants to get back together and is open to having a sexual relationship now. I asked her why now, what changed, and she looked uncomfortable. After a little prying, she said she had a short-term fling with one of the older guys at work while we were broken up, which of course was fine as she wasn't my girlfriend anymore. Anyway, she said he persisted with her until she started having sex with him. She ended it with him recently. She was clear that it was consensual, but that the guy was very persistent with pursuing sex with her. I was gutted. I couldn't understand why she'd make me wait all those years, but was fine doing it with some new guy she'd only been seeing a short time. I asked if the reason she was open to having a relationship now is because she wasn't a virgin anymore. She said yes. I asked her to give me some space to process all this. I'm conflicted and would love some advice on this. I have missed her a lot and still have strong feelings for her, but at the same time it feels like I was strung along for years. It's hard to put my finger on why I don't want to take her back. Everything logically makes sense for us to get back together. I'd even get to finally have a sexual relationship with her. But I feel awful about this whole thing and don't want to ignore those feelings. Some of the comments are being very harsh on my ex, and I guess that's not surprising. You don't know her. She's not some evil, manipulative villain. At all. I would never have been with anyone like that. She's still the funny, smart, charming, beautiful girl I always knew. Any guy would be lucky to have her. I would be too if I could handle the baggage here, but I'm thinking I probably can't, and a clean break is the way to go. Though she may regret the relationship with the other man, It's not my business as she was a single woman and we broke up. I wasn't ever expecting to hear from her again, really. This whole situation is very surprising to me. I'm feeling hurt because I guess this is a solid blow to my ego, but I feel like the lesser man here. I can own that, and that's something for me to work on. Ultimately, I have some hang-ups about sex from this relationship that I need to deal with. A few people have suggested I could benefit from therapy. I'm going to look into that. I think I need help to process all these emotions from this situation. Relevant comments, I would ask her why she was willing to sleep with this guy after such a short relationship, but after 3 years she was not willing to sleep with you. OP's reply, I think this is the right question because I don't know why she didn't say. All she said was that the guy was persistent. I'm torn about whether to simply text her that I don't want to rekindle things and leave it all in the past, or whether I should ask more questions about what happened, because this hurts. I don't know if I'm ready to get details of her relationship with the other guy. Sometimes I just feel like I'm stunted in some way. A few comments have said I'm immature, and they're probably right. I know I'm the one who ended the relationship and that she's entitled to do what she wants with anyone else. Still doesn't make it hurt any less. And maybe it's just best to say goodbye and leave all this in the past. I'm going to refer to my ex as Oprah, not her real name. I'd like to write a bit about the comments because so many people took the time to provide their thoughts, and I appreciate that. The majority of comments were some variation of move on, a clean break, a strong recommendation with a lot to recommend it. A minority said give her a chance and see how it goes. Plenty calling me an arsehole for ending it because I wanted sex in our relationship, or for being obsessed with her virginity, that I dumped her because she wouldn't put out. And quite a few saying my breaking up with her made her feel like sex is necessary to keep a guy and that it drove her heartbroken into the next guy's bed. There were a few she's pregnant comments. Not that I know of, it's not impossible, but if that happens, it won't be anything to do with me. The dudes saying I should fuck her and leave her, or worse, seriously, some of you guys need a hug or a psychologist. No, I would never use her like that, no matter our past. Oprah and I were a loving couple for years. That counts for something even after we broke up. Feeling hurt doesn't justify using her, or anyone else for that matter. As for comments that I have some hang-up about taking her virginity, my issue when together was that we weren't having sex in our relationship, not whether she was a virgin or not. Her being a virgin was her reason for being abstinent, but wasn't directly an issue either way to me. If she hadn't been a virgin and wanted to be abstinent, I would have been in the same situation. Bear in mind, for 3 years, Oprah had everything she wanted from our relationship. Boyfriend, love, affection, loyalty, support, and a guy who respected her wishes to be abstinent. While she got 100% of what she wanted, for me, there was a big element missing, and there was no way to reconcile that. Either we were having sex or not having it. Sex requires both to say yes, and that wasn't going to happen. With hindsight, I should have ended the relationship early on, when Oprah first told me she wanted to not have sex until marriage. When we got together, I was a naive 19-year-old who had never had a girlfriend before, so I kind of went along with things because I really liked her and got along with her so well. I fell in love with her and then kind of felt stuck in a relationship that wasn't what I wanted. I've learned from this and won't make that mistake in the future. I want to make active, not passive choices in future relationships. To not just go along with things because that's what the other person wants. Our views about sex in our relationship were not compatible, so I ended the relationship rather than waiting any longer, hoping she'd change her mind. It was scary to take that step, and I put it off for way too long because I didn't want to hurt her. But I couldn't stay in the relationship us for her. I had to also consider myself too. My mistake was waiting so long to get to that point. I regret that as it caused her more hurt than if I'd ended it early on. Many of you say that sex just isn't that important, but for me it is, at least as part of a relationship. You can disagree, that's fine. Some people are fine being in no-sex relationships. No judgment from me, but that's not what I want. Some people took issue with me saying I felt she strung me along. On reflection, that's fair. Oprah was clear to me about wanting to not have sex until marriage. I foolishly stayed way too long hoping she'd change her mind one day. She didn't. That was my mistake. I strung myself along, really. She never led me on in any way. It hurt to learn that she had sex with the next guy relatively quickly after I waited so long. But she is my ex, so that is not my business anymore. She is allowed to change her mind. She can have sex or not with whoever she chooses. I don't get a say in that. My hurt is an emotional response, not a logical one. Logically, I see she did nothing wrong by me. I'll get over it. It's just my bruised ego, if I'm honest with myself. Feeling I'm somehow a lesser man because she took that step with the next guy. I know objectively that isn't true, but I sure feel it. I was not a perfect boyfriend, and I have made mistakes. I have learned from them. I don't regret breaking up with Oprah and still think it was the right decision for me. Enough background. A few things have happened. Last weekend was the Australia Day long weekend. I was on a camping trip in the Grampians for any Aussies reading. It was so nice to be in nature, to do some bushwalks with friends and decompress. It felt good to talk about the Oprah situation with my mates around the campfire. Most of them knew Oprah pretty well from our years together, and they had a range of views, just like the commenters on my post. And I got the usual good-natured shit about still being a virgin. I learned there's an expensive bottle of scotch they bought a while ago that's going to have its seal cracked when mine is. Bastards, lol. One great question a friend asked was whether I would have ever decided to reach out and take Oprah back if she never reached out to me first. The answer is no. It was so obvious to me. That cut through a lot of the confusion for me. I was being too passive in this situation and needed to do what I wanted. Not just react to what Oprah wanted. By the time I was on the way home, I had decided to not get back together with her. But that was moot. When I was driving home and got a mobile signal again, no mobile network where we had camped, the network delivered a bunch of messages from Oprah all at once. She said she was wrong to ask me to get back together and that she's back with Elon now. She also texted that the thing with Elon is more serious than she told me when she last met with me. She apologized for misleading me about her and Elon's relationship. If you remember, she called it a fling before. She asked if we could meet to talk about it. I was not happy, so I just texted back no. Not very mature of me, but I wasn't in the mood to hear more about all this. And I was surprised and pissed off that she lied to me. That seemed very out of character for her. She tried calling me, but I didn't want to answer. She sent another text saying, Elon and I had a fight. I shouldn't have come to you. And finally, I'm sorry. When I got home, I was an idiot and let my curiosity get the better of me. I looked up Elon online. His real given name is uncommon, so it wasn't hard to find. Found him on LinkedIn, which gave me his full name. Oprah is one of his connections, and he works at the same firm, so I was confident it's him. He's a director at their firm, one level below partner. He also has pics on Insta, lots of posts about his adventures around the world, at various events and exotic places, as well as shots with an expensive-looking car. A few photos of him with Oprah with their arms around each other in Singapore in November. I guess that confirms it was serious. He wouldn't have public pics with her for a casual fling. All that just made me feel bad. No good comes from comparing myself to my ex-successful boyfriend. Oprah is not my girlfriend, and I'm not in competition with Elon. So I won't do that again. My ego's bruised enough already. I have been living a very frugal life my whole time at university, aka poor as fuck, so I know I can feel inferior when I see people with wealth. That's another problem for me. Problem to sort out. Anyway, all that was on Sunday afternoon evening. On Tuesday evening, Oprah knocked at my door. She said that she knew I didn't want to talk to her, but she felt bad about everything and hoped I would let her explain herself, clear the air, then I'd never see her again if that's what I wanted. I let her in. I was not happy with recent events, but figured I might at least get a clearer idea of what's going on. It was a long, heavy conversation over 4 hours, but here's the gist as I remember it. When we broke up, she was devastated. She said it took a couple of months before she started to feel a bit better. She missed me constantly and wanted to see me the whole time. But when I ended it, we agreed to keep apart and heal. In September, she met Elon at work. He manages a different team. She doesn't work for him. She said he was very charming and attractive and showed almost immediate interest in her. They got to know each other and he asked her out. She was worried it was a rebound, but felt so much better getting his attention that she went along with it. After dating for a while, she developed feelings for him, and that later led to a sexual relationship. It wasn't a fling, and she dated him for a while beforehand. I asked about whether he had pressured her into sex. Last time said he was very persistent. She said she was trying to not upset me. She thought if she gave the impression she was reluctant to have sex with Elon, that I wouldn't think as badly of her. So it was a story to try and spare my feelings. I told her it just made me worried she had been assaulted. She looked shocked at that and said no way. She was actually the one who initiated their sexual relationship. I said, although I don't like that she lied to me, I can understand why. I don't think she did anything wrong changing her mind about abstinence. Yes, I was hurt when she told me she was having sex, but I have no right to judge her for anything. She's a single adult, and it's her life. I don't think badly of her. She burst into tears and said something like, "I thought you must hate me now." I assured her that I didn't. She said she was sad it didn't work for us, but that she never would have dropped her virginity commitment if we had not broken up. After we broke up, she decided that it was a commitment she made to her dad when she was still a kid, and it was messing with the life she wants now. So by the time she and Elon got into their relationship, she had already decided she was ready for sex with the right person. I asked about her dad, and she just said he doesn't need to know. I asked about why she asked to get back together. Elon is older. She told me he's 32 and has been at the firm 10 years. One day at work, one of the women made a snarky comment to Oprah about being another one of Elon's girls. She did some digging, and it turns out Elon has a history. He has dated a long list of women from work. Several of them were young graduate employees, just like Oprah. The rumor around the office is that Oprah is just the next girl to get used by him. She was horrified. She accused Elon of using her. They argued, and she told him it was over. Soon after that, she came to me. She felt as if we might be able to rekindle things now that she was open to a sexual relationship. But my hesitation and time to calm down made her realize that was a mistake. Over the weekend, Elon asked her to work things out. She decided to give it a chance. She tried to call me, but they went to voicemail. I was camping, so she sent those messages instead. So I guess that's settled. I don't want her back, and she's in a relationship, so she doesn't want me back either. We chatted a bit about how our families are going. She congratulated me on finally finishing university. She asked if I'd been seeing anyone, and when I told her I'd been studying hard and working a lot since exams, retail job, with no time for girls, she laughed and said, "I'm still a big nerd." She hoped we could be friendly if we ever see each other, but she wants to keep out of contact out of respect for her relationship with Elon. She wants to give it a real chance of working, which is fair enough. She gave me a hug, said thank you for understanding, and left. So there you have it. Oprah involved me in her relationship drama. I would have preferred she hadn't, but at least it's sorted now. I'm glad I paid attention to my feelings and took time out to consider things, as it could have been very messy if I had taken her back. Trusting my gut has been the biggest lesson for me in all this. I still care for her despite recent events. It seems like she is dealing with a lot of complicated things between her new relationship and work gossip. I wish her well and hope she will be happy, whether it's with Elon or not. She was my first love, and I expect I'll always have warm memories of her. But I am clear now that I don't want her back. She is my past, and I want to look forward. Well, this has become an essay. Tutors at university always told me I was too waffly in my writing. Well, fuck those guys. I'm not a student anymore. I can now focus on launching my new career with no distractions. I've worked so hard for so long to get here. My new job starts on Monday. It's going to be so great building actual real experience in my new profession, not just endless theory. I'll be earning much better money, no more student poverty, and I've got graduation in May to look forward to as well. I'm open to finding someone new, but that is way down my priority list. I'm not going to actively pursue that anytime soon. OP on Oprah changing. I came to terms with our relationship months ago. When she came back to me, it stirred up some old feelings because we'd been a couple so long, but thinking about it now, that was more of an echo of those memories than real feelings. All of this drama was Oprah's doing. I would have preferred she never involved me, so I could have been blissfully ignorant of her romantic life. I'd prefer to not know about her worldly, rich boyfriend or their sex life. She's definitely changed. The Oprah I remember was scrupulous and honest to a fault. The Oprah I have dealt with recently wasn't like that so much. I think that's why her lying to me pissed me off so much. It wasn't just lying, it was how out of character it seemed. But people change. She's in the business world now, and people there live by different standards to the religious family she grew up in. Anyway, I have cut myself out of her life, so anything that happens with her is hers to deal with. If she comes back to me, I'll remind her we agreed to stay apart and leave it there. I am not looking for another relationship right now, so no Tinder for me. And no, I am not looking for casual sex either. I'm a virgin, but I want a meaningful connection, not just sex. As I said in the post, I'm open to something if the right woman came along, but I'm not actively seeking it. That might change after a while, but right now I want to keep focused on my new career. OP on having closure. A lot of the comments here act like that final meeting was all for her benefit. Sure, she got some kind of relief or closure out of it, but it was also good for me. Seeing who she is becoming just made it 100% no doubt in my mind that we wouldn't ever make sense. She has changed a lot in the last year, starting when we were still together and she had started her job. Random phrases like work hard, play hard, being generally less kind and more dismissive of others. Clearly, she was being influenced by those around her, but it was her choice to take on those behaviors. I love the old Oprah, but I'm not sure I even like the current one much. Anyway, I didn't feel like she intruded. I felt like I got a nice, neat ending to the whole thing and can get on with my life with a clear conscience. But we're clear now that it's over, and I have her promise that she will stay out of contact. If she ever does try to come back, I can remind her of her own promise and close the door. Update 2, if you recall from my previous posts, my ex Oprah and I mutually agreed to be no contact after some drama on her part. At the urging of Redditors, I also blocked her to help maintain no contact. I've been working since February as a graduate engineer, and it's been everything I hoped it would be. I'm meeting amazing, smart people, learning so much every day, and I'm finally earning a salary after years of being a broke student. Having a little money in the bank and being able to afford to do things like eating out is such a nice change. When I finished university in November, I moved in with my brother temporarily. He'd just broken up with his ex and needed help with his rent. That's where I was living when Oprah last came to see me. He found a new housemate, and since his place was on the wrong side of the CBD for my job, I moved into a shared house in the southeast of Melbourne. The place is a bit run down, but the rent is reasonable by insane Melbourne standards, and there are lots of pubs, bars, and restaurants nearby. The location and my housemates have been great. I'm seeing someone. I'll call her Cheryl, not her real name. She's the sister of one of my housemates. We met when my housemates and I had a BBQ and she dropped the witching. We got talking and we're still talking hours later until everyone else had left. Her brother told us to STFU so he could get some sleep, haha. I asked her out that week and we've been close since. My housemate / her brother has been making fun of us ever since, including more than a few crude jokes when she stays over. We agreed to be exclusive 6 weeks ago, so it's still quite new. She's so cool and smart and gorgeous. The chemistry was instant and intense from the moment we met. We just clicked so well. It's such a great time when we're together. Cheryl is an accountant at a big firm. One of Cheryl's workmates was having a party last month. She asked me to come to meet some of her work friends. We went inside and Cheryl introduced me to the woman who hosted the party, her workmate Whitney. There would have been maybe 40, 50 people there. I didn't know anyone but Cheryl. At one point, I offered to grab more drinks. The kitchen was in a separate room. As I was getting them, a guy asked me to pass him a beer from the fridge. I introduced myself and he said, "Hi, I'm Elon." We chatted a couple of minutes about our jobs and how we know Whitney. Then I just said, "Nice to meet you," and returned to the group. I didn't recognize his face as I'd never met him before, but it was definitely Oprah's Elon, his job and firm lineup. And he looked in his 30s, a bit older than most people at the party. Neither of us mentioned Oprah when we were talking. Later on, I asked Whitney how she knew Elon. She said she used to work at the same firm as Elon, also where Oprah works, but she moved to another employer where Cheryl works. Despite living in a city of 5 million, it's still a small world. On the tram ride home, I must have been quiet because Cheryl asked what was on my mind. I said that the Elon guy at the party was, or maybe still is, my ex's boyfriend. I said I didn't think he knew who I was, or if he did, he didn't say anything. That prompted me to share some history about me and Oprah. Cheryl was wide-eyed and said, "You never told me you were a virgin." Then she laughed and said, "Well, we took care of that." She asked if I had any feelings for Oprah, and I truthfully said no. I dealt with all that months ago. More recently, there was a formal charity dinner that Cheryl was asked to support. Her employer was a sponsor of the event. She was keen to show me off. We were at a table with a bunch of her work colleagues. Nice people. One of her work friends was so excited to meet me, and Cheryl can't stop talking about you. That made me feel really good. After dinner, a few of us were chatting and I got a tap on the shoulder. I turned around and to my surprise, it was Oprah. Elon was with her. It was so weird to see her again. Elon said he remembered meeting me at that party, but never made the connection to Oprah until just now. She must have told him about me. Oprah looked very different. She had lost a lot of weight and was very slim. The tight red dress she was wearing made that obvious. Her dad would not approve. Not that she was ever overweight, but I'd never seen her that thin before. She was immaculately made up with what looked to my ignorant eye like expensive jewelry. She'd changed her hair too, now blonde instead of her natural auburn. She looked like a sleek, rich girl, not the poor pastor's daughter I remember. Don't get me wrong, she looked amazing, but she looked like a different person. I know it was a formal event, so we were all dressed nicely, but this was a major transformation. Despite her glam looks, when I saw her, I didn't feel anything for her. Just nothing. Oprah said she was so glad to see me, and she had some news, holding out her hand to show a diamond engagement ring. I know nothing about diamonds, but it looked pretty big and expensive to me. I offered my congratulations to them both. Just then, Cheryl walked back over. I introduced her to Oprah and Elon. Cheryl put her arm around me, and Oprah's smile seemed to kind of freeze. I didn't really know what else to say, so I just said, "Nice to see you again," and wished them all the best for the wedding. Elon walked off and Oprah just sort of stood there a moment. It was awkward. Later on, as we were leaving, Oprah was staring at us as we walked out. Cheryl said later that, "I think she still has a thing for you." I said it doesn't matter. Anyway, cut to a few days ago, my brother messaged me saying Oprah stopped by looking for me. Yes, Reddit, you were right. He knew to not share my new address with her, so all he said was, I'd moved out. Next day, I received an email from an address I hadn't seen before. It was Oprah. No acknowledgement that she was breaking our agreement to be no contact. No mention she stopped by my old place. It said, "It was so great to see you again. I've missed you, and that girl you were with is pretty. How serious is it?" And telling me she and Elon have big plans for their wedding next year, and she hopes I can come. I was annoyed because she is trying to make her business, again, despite promising no contact. Even going to the trouble to make a new email address to get around me, blocking her. I showed Cheryl the email and she rolled her eyes and asked me to think about why my ex would send me that. Why indeed? Cheryl is great at cutting through bullshit and reads people way better than I do. Oprah can't have me back. I'm in a relationship now, plus she's engaged, and it's not like I would go to their wedding. Who goes to their ex's wedding? It wouldn't be right. I don't know why she's trying to contact me, but I can guess that she wants to use me for emotional support again. Or maybe things are rocky with Elon, who knows? Whatever she wants, it's not happening. She has family and friends. She can talk to them. I deleted the email and blocked the address without replying. Oprah promised she'd keep out of contact and just couldn't help herself. I still intend to keep my word of no contact, even if she doesn't. I've also set up a filter to send any email containing her name to the bin. Cheryl and I had a talk after that. I asked if she was concerned about the Oprah thing, but she said no, she's not worried. She didn't get serial killer vibes from Oprah. I'm glad none of this has put her off me. So nothing too dramatic, but it does prove you guys were right. Oprah couldn't not contact me despite promising to do so. I was able to sidestep her much more easily than last time. Ultimately, this is a good news story. Life is so great right now. I've got a cool new girlfriend, a fun place to live, and a new career I love. Looking back at the story, we realize that maturity often doesn't come from sweet moments, but is born from the most painful decisions. The main character had to confront a storm of emotions, love, disappointment, and wounded pride, yet he ultimately found his way out. He came to understand that not every relationship is worth holding on to, and that some people come into our lives solely to teach us invaluable lessons. This isn't just about letting go of a relationship, it's about rediscovering oneself. From a personal perspective, the story reflects immense growth in how the main character faced life. He realized that love is not merely about emotions. It must also align with shared values and life goals. By choosing to move forward, setting boundaries for himself, and courageously saying no to the past even though it once held beauty, he showed us that true self-love is not selfishness, but wisdom. His decision wasn't a denial of the past, but an affirmation of his own worth. The raw emotions woven into this story make us ponder. Do we often cling to things that no longer belong to us simply because we fear loneliness or long for the past? By finding the courage to let go, we not only free ourselves from suffering, but also open the door to embrace better opportunities. The main character overcame his pain, and rather than being consumed by sorrow, he chose to rise and build a new future. That is a powerful choice that inspires us all. Sometimes it's in our darkest moments that we uncover the greatest strength within ourselves. This story isn't just about love, it's a lesson in self-love, healing, and moving forward. We cannot control how others treat us, but we can control how we respond and continue to live. The protagonist didn't choose bitterness. Instead, he chose forgiveness, acceptance, and hope. The sense of peace he found in the end is the well-earned reward of a painful yet valuable journey. The takeaway is this: true love isn't about holding on, it's about loving yourself enough to know when to let go. Happiness doesn't lie in perfection, but in the ability to find light, even when everything seems to be falling apart. If this story has touched your heart and reminded you of the value of letting go and loving yourself, please hit like and subscribe to support us in sharing more meaningful lessons. See you in the next story.